What's going on, everyone? It's Stephanie Adams with SOS Solutions, and if you have been plugging around trying to figure out the fastest way to increase your credit score and you actually just need an answer to this question, stay tuned. I have it for you. If you are coming in with a credit score that you think is less than stellar, I will tell you that the lower your credit score is, the easier it is to raise. Mostly because you're just gonna have to make some financial adjustments, some changes, and your score will respond relatively quickly. But if your score is higher, it's actually harder to gain more points. So let me give you an example. Let's say your score right now you're starting with is, we'll pick a number out of the air and we'll say it's 450. Chances are, if you have a score that's low, you're having trouble making your payments on time. So the solution to that is get your payments on time. Figure out your budget, figure out what's going in and what's coming out, and get your budget straight. And then once you start making your payments on time, over a year or two, your score will get to the point where it needs to be for you to buy a house or buy a car, just by making that simple adjustment of making your payments on time. Why? Because on-time payments is worth 35% of your credit score. In that same period of time, if you have credit cards that are maxed out because you were having trouble making your payments on time, your credit cards are likely maxed out as well. What you're gonna affect is the ratio. The ratio is worth 30% of your credit score, and once you start paying down the credit cards, couple that with making your payments on time, your score naturally increases on its own. So you're looking at anywhere, if your score again is at a 450 range, you're looking at anywhere between 1 to 2 years to be able to get your score to where it needs to be for you to make generally any of the purchases that you need to make. Now, let's say your score is in the 650 range and you want to get it up to 800. You are going to have to climb a mountain. You have to have the right number of credit cards. So you need to have between 3 and 5 credit cards. You need to have the right number of installment accounts. So you need to have between 3 and 5 installment accounts. Typical American has 3 credit cards and 2 installment accounts. The 3 credit cards are 2 major ones, right? You have your MasterCard, you have your Visa, then you've got some kind of a store card somewhere. Pick your favorite store, Target, that's what you have. And then you normally have a house payment and you have a car payment. Or if you're married and you're living with someone, then you have a house payment, you have 2 car payments. That's the typical American household. That's what it looks like, okay? So if you have just those accounts, your score is at a 650. The issue with trying to raise your score from that point is, again, on-time payments, low ratios on the credit cards. You have to be controlling the money that you're putting on the credit card. Your budget has to be in control all the time. And you actually have to time the opening and closing of those other accounts. So your score is going to adjust for everything that you open and everything that you close. So let's say you've got a car and the car is set to be paid off in 3 years. Okay, so then in 3 years, your score is actually gonna come down because you've closed something. So you have to open something to counteract that closing. That's how that FICO algorithm works. So lower scores, very easy to get your score into a buying range. Most of the time with my clients, we can take them from, we'll say a 520, 530 to a 640 within 6 months, as long as they follow all of the rules that we need them to follow. With people who need, we'll say a jumbo loan, it's a little bit harder to get them where they need to be because their score is actually able to get a different kind of loan. It's just they're not gonna get the interest rate or some of the benefits of those different kinds of loans with the score that they currently have. So the lower your score, the faster you can improve it to the point where you can purchase what you need to purchase to survive. The higher your score, the longer it's gonna take to get it into that 800 range that some people for some reason are looking for. Guys, honestly, your score really never needs to be higher than a 720, like ever. As long as you're in that 700 range, you are going to get whatever you need to get Even if it's a jumbo loan, for the most part, you are going to be able to get what you need to get at a 720 range, okay? So that's really where you should be shooting for as far as your score, but you never ever wanna be down below a 650 or a 640, okay? Because for the most part, you can buy whatever house you need at a 640 range with a decent interest rate. So as far as the time frame, just follow the rules of credit, right? You have to make all of your payments on time. You have to make sure that your credit cards are always low balances. You have to make sure that you always have a history, so you're always opening and closing things, and you don't try to remove anything that's new from your credit report, and don't open too many new things next to each other recently. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, don't open 6 credit cards in a 3-month window. What you're doing when you do that is you actually lower the age of your credit. So it makes it look like now you have baby credit, whereas before you didn't have baby credit. So age of accounts, big deal. Make sure you always have a mix of credit. You need to have installment accounts and you need to have revolving accounts. And then the 5th thing is don't apply for too much credit, because it makes you look desperate and you actually flag the bureaus to say, hey, this person is likely to file for bankruptcy because they cannot control the credit that they're getting. That's it, guys. Time frame is absolutely based on where your score is now. If you want to know where you are and where you could potentially be in a few months, give us a call, 757-356-5756. Happy to do a consultation with you. Until then, we will talk next time. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.